Hi there, welcome to No Nonsense Whiskey. My name's Vin PF, and on today's episode we've got a very, very special episode. I've been sent 2 incredible bottles by the great guys at Hereos Heretics. Now, you know I've been working with them for a long old time, and it's wonderful that they still send me their stuff. These 2 here are their 2 brand new releases. They should be out at about the same sort of time that this video goes live, so if you are interested in any of this, then go and check out the links below. I think it's available through them and through Master of Malt, although there should be also a 10% discount on the prices I'll quote a bit later if you go through to their website. But yeah, that's up to you. Go and check out the links below if you want to see more about them. So like I said, 2 very special bottlings today, and I mean that in all sense of the words. We've got 2 very prestigious distilleries, 2 really great ages, 2 really high prices that will go with these. But I'm sure if you are into any of the data that I talk about today, these will be right up your street. In fact, I think, doing some quick maths, I think the Aberfeldy on here is the most expensive bottle that I've ever had on my shelves, by about a £5 actually, and actually the previous one was a little bit cheaper but was a 500 millilitres, whereas this is a full-size bottle. So definitely that would have been technically more expensive if it was a full size, but it isn't. So there you go. Right, what we've got then is the 2 in the new in the classic series from them. We've got an Aberfeldy 33-year-old and we've got a Bruichladdich 14-year-old, and I'll go into each of those when we do a bit of it, but I'm doing it as a double threat today because I figured that you'd probably want to hear, you know, if you were interested in one of these, you'd be interested in both. So you might want to hear them both together rather than me string it out across 2 videos. Doesn't seem like I should do that. But what I'm going to do is do the first one, then I'm going to get into the second one with a little cleanse in between. But don't worry about that too much because I've done all my tasting notes ahead of time, as always. So yeah, it's get on with it and we'll see what we got. So the first one then, up on the cask, the other one's down here. We've got an Aberfeldy 33-year-old. Looking at the data on the front of that, that's distilled in November 1991 and bottled in October 2024, so not too far along. Obviously both of these are single cask. If you're interested, this is cask 7436. I've got bottle number 11 of 133, so not many. And as you might be able to tell by the colour of this thing, that this is in a refill bourbon hogshead. 40.4%, so a fairly low ABV. These are both non-chill filtered, natural coloured. So yeah, you can see, boom. Fairly light on the colour, as I would expect from a refill hogshead. And obviously the 40.4% is probably means that they tested the ABV on this cask and realised how low it was, and it was like time to bottle this bad boy right now before it gets any longer. But they were probably trying to stretch it out for as long as they can, so how many years they can get on it. Why not? I think, why not? It's I mean 33. I haven't tried many whiskies that are over 33 years old, that's for sure. Certainly not single malts. And as I get older and older, it's more and more difficult to find a whiskey that is older than me. 39 at time of recording, so yeah, it's there aren't many whiskies that I've tried in that sort of age bracket. Best thing to do then is probably get straight into it, and we'll see what we've got in the glass. Nice and tidy behind here. As I said earlier, it's fairly light in colour. You know, it's got kind of a deep straw, a light gold, whatever you want to call it. You can call these colours whatever you like, but yeah, for me, it's I don't mind stuff like this because it's a true reflection of what 3 and a bit decades looks like in a kind of relatively spent cask, I'd probably say. I mean, that colour was probably achieved in the first 5 years, maybe even less, but yeah, interesting. Let's get onto the nose and see what we got. Oh, I mean, this has got it's a bright, vibrant, fruity nose. There's so much wood on this thing, it's unreal. It just, I don't know, man, it's hard to say, but like, obviously the ABV is low, so I'm not getting much of a kickback from that, but it's not even, like, I would be expecting to get bags and bags of vanillas and even a little bit of tannins on this side, but it really is like orange. Orange peel is really the one thing that comes off this. It's incredible. Really nice nose, and you know, don't let that low ABV fool you. This is a, I mean, you'll see as I get into it, this is a fabulous dram. Let's go onto the palate. Yeah, I mean, it's just, I'm instant salivation. I mean, how do you even quantify that? The one thing I will say, I'll show you this actually. I do my tasting notes in this whiskey journal now. This is the one here. Now, what you can see, this is the one I did previously. You can see how spiky it is, and yeah, that's normal. You get like one big spike of one flavour and none of the other. You'll notice here, apart from like it's missing obviously smoke and things like that, a lot of it's like it's not maxed out at anything. It's just well rounded across them. You know, I mean, I've been putting here, you know, it's like, yes, a little chocolatey, a little nutty, a little malty, a little citric, a little fragrant, a little herbal, and it's so unbelievably well balanced. It's unreal. You know, and that's the kind of thing that's like blenders territory. You know, when they get like 100 casks together and they make it sing all together. This is a single cask singing on its own. And yeah, so like I say, in terms of like bold flavours, you're not going to get that. Although I will say that the oranginess is really persistent. So if that's your bag, 100%. But I've said this a few times on camera now. I mean, I love no age statement whiskey. I love young whiskey. I like bold, punchy flavours. But you cannot beat what 3 decades in a cask will do to a whiskey. It just reeks of wonderfulness. That said, this is a 385 quid bottle of whiskey, which is a lot of money. You know, I mean, there's no doubt in my mind. I mean, I would never be paying that sort of money myself. I just haven't got that sort of money. Again, super grateful to even be able to try this thing, let alone have a bottle of it. But again, as I say, like, what do I know? Because I covered that Ben Nevis, which is about the same sort of price, and that thing's flown off the shelf. Same with this one, you know, it's going to go because it's just a really, really, really great whiskey. And there are going to be people that can afford that sort of thing. Shame for the people that can't, because it's just absolutely stunning whiskey. Stunning. Benefit of it is I probably don't even need to really cleanse because it's so light in flavour that it's just sort of chilling. Now, let's swap these over. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, what we have here, again in the classic series, this is a Bruichladdich 14-year-old. So that means it was, looking at the front of the bottle again, distilled in November 2007, bottled in September 2024, cask number 10, and this is bottle number 308 of 330. Cask type, this is an interesting one, Chateau Latour Wine Barrique. Now, I don't know much about red wine, but I did do a quick Google of what that was. And that is a very prestigious winemaker, and they have some very expensive bottles of wine that I am very unlikely to ever try. This one's a little bit cheaper. This is 170 quid, and this is going at 50.1%. So we're kind of ratcheting up that ABV, ready for some goodness. But yeah, obviously Bruichladdich is a name that we all know and love. 14 years is a good age statement. Yes, there are going to be people, before I even start this tasting, there are going to be people out there that go, well, I can get a Bruichladdich 14 for XYZ price. I mean, 100% the nature of the cask is definitely going to be ratcheting that price up here. But let's get into it, see what we got. Again, natural colour, non-chill filtered. The colour on this thing, man, I don't even know how to quantify that. It's not quite as dark as a mahogany, not quite as light as a rose gold, but it's somewhere in between. You can make your mind up on where you think that sits on a palette wheel. Absolutely loving these new microphones, by the way, because now if I'm doing this, I'm not blocking the microphone anymore. It's sitting right next to my chest, so I have to get used to that. I mean, this thing is so thick and viscous, it's unreal. Let's get onto the nose. Now, this has, I'm gonna skip ahead to the nose and the palate a little bit, but this has a crazy nose and palate. Like if this was on a blind tasting for me, my brain would be like, what is going on? I wouldn't be picking this out as a red wine finished whiskey or even a Bruichladdich. Like, as far as I can tell, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm no expert in Bruichladdich, but the cask is definitely overriding the distillery character. This is extremely cask led, but it's extremely winey. It's very oily, so tannic, it's unreal. There's so much leather, so much tobacco in this. But the one thing that I would say to anybody who is interested in buying this is that we often get like nuttiness on a whiskey as an aside, you know. So you could say something like, I don't know, I'm getting some dried fruits and then a little bit of almonds or something like that. For me, this is genuinely the nuttiest whiskey that I've ever smelt or tried. Like it's just like, it's all the nuts. It's peanuts, it's walnuts, it's macadamia nuts, it's pistachios, everything. The list goes on, obviously. But it's one of those noses where, like, whereas with the Aberfeldy, I'm just sort of instantly in love with how easygoing it is. With this one, I'm sort of in love with how not easygoing it is. It's a challenging nose. There's stuff going on constantly that my brain is like, don't know what that is. Let's get onto the palate and see where we get there. Now, again, oh, I mean, yeah. So it's whereas where I said on the Aberfeldy where it's just all so mingled together. This one, it's not so much. It's like there's just so much going on. It's big, it's bold, it's punchy. There's some weird stuff going on that my brain doesn't always know how to compute. Like, for example, that nuttiness is just so big and so prevalent, and yet it's mixed in with these odd, sweet moments, like hedgerows. I mean, they say blackberries on the back of this, but it's very much that kind of blackberry, raspberry vibe. But it doesn't go like, you get this, and then you get this, then you get this. It does this all the time. So occasionally you get some sweetness, and then it goes back to the nuttiness, and then the sweetness comes back through again, and then the nuttiness comes through. Like, it's genuinely bonkers. I would love to try the red wine that goes along with this, because I bet it's like really robust and full-bodied and fruity and probably not that dry is going to be my guess, because all of that's coming through on this. Yeah, I mean, this, now that I've got the bottle, people beware, because if I want to really mess with someone, I'm going to chuck this in on a blind tasting, because there's no way you'd be able to guess what this was. None whatsoever. But an equally stunning dram. And again, it's 170 quid. So again, not cheap, obviously much cheaper than the Aberfeldy, but still not cheap. It's still, it's not, I have spent more than that on a bottle of whiskey in the past, one time. So again, I mean, I wish I wouldn't be able to afford to buy it. So superb to be able to try it. But yeah, I don't know. This is one of those interesting videos where I think probably 90% of people that watch it are probably going to say, well, I don't think I'll be able to afford that either. But if it catches a few people who are even remotely interested in these bottles, I implore you to go and check them out, especially using that 10% discount code, because at these sorts of prices, that's significant. You know, that turns 380 quid into 350 quid. So, you know, that's no small amount, let's say. But yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed this. I really love working with these guys because they don't put much out, but when they do, my God, you know, like that Smoke and Glory, I've got a couple of their Smoke and Glories back there, and they are just incredible whiskies. So they sit there quietly, and then they put out an absolute monster of a whiskey, and they've done that with these two here. Yeah, hopefully people are going to enjoy these. I'd love to know if you've got a bottle of this, whether you watched my channel before or not. Irrelevant, but yeah, please do let me know what you think about these. I'm going to be enjoying these, and 100% I'm going to be sharing these as well. So again, as I always say, if you are in my local club or whatever, you're probably going to get to try some of this next time I see you. But yeah, I'll say cheers to you, and I'm going to go back with the Bruichladdich for the sign off, because it's now blown my palate. But yeah, cheers for watching, and I'll see you again on more videos coming soon.